In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, peace be upon you. Today's episode is very special because after watching it, your perspective of looking at the world will completely change. The previous episode ended with a very big question. Does the knowledge of numbers truly exist? Do numbers play an important role in the system of this world or this universe? What exactly is this knowledge of numbers? It sounds like a very dry topic. Numbers, figures, mathematics. But I promise you that when this video ends today, God willing, you will see the door to a completely new world opening before your eyes. But before I take you to that new world, I want to tell you about a very special person first. You might have heard somewhere that if you understand the power of 3, 6, and 9, then know that you have found the key to understanding the secrets of this universe. This statement was actually made by Nikola Tesla. And who was Nikola Tesla? It is said about Tesla that he was the person who invented the 20th century. The electricity being used in your homes and shops right now is a gift from Nikola Tesla. The wireless charging technology being used in your mobile phones is a gift from Nikola Tesla. There are 26 countries in the world today that have more than 300 inventions by Nikola Tesla. But his actual number of inventions is much, much higher than this. But those inventions are not in his name. And this is because whenever Tesla got a formula or idea for something in his mind, he would write it on pieces of paper and keep it somewhere. But later, his assistant would steal his papers and steal Tesla's designs to make them famous under their own names. It is said that Marconi stole 3 of Nikola Tesla's designs to make his radio. And about this theft, Tesla had said, "It's surprising that their own minds don't give them any ideas." And there is no doubt that Tesla's research in the field of energy is truly remarkable. But the purpose for which I want to tell you about Tesla's genius is something else. I just told you that Tesla's actual inventions are not 300 but much, much more than that. This stylish scientist from New York who spoke 8 languages was working on technology far ahead of his time. And we know this from a letter he wrote. This letter was written by Tesla to a friend on November 29, 1934, where he told him, "I have discovered some new things, and one of these discoveries is such that no one can ever put a price on it. Warships have put this world in great fear. People living in London and Paris live in constant fear of bombing from the sky. But the discovery I am telling you about will give absolute protection against these dangers. I have tested this discovery on a very small scale for now, but this technology has amazed me. This technology is like a super weapon, and this technology will completely eliminate wars from this world." Then, once again, Tesla told his friends that after 35 years of hard work, he was very close to discovering a completely new form of energy. Such energy that would change Einstein's physics. But were these statements just Tesla's claims? No, Tesla was an extremely intelligent and hard-working person. In fact, once he worked for 84 hours straight in his laboratory. Now, let me tell you something very interesting. When Tesla shared with his friend about this discovery that no one could put a price on, it was the time of the Great Depression. That's why I told you the date of the letter, 1934. Governments worldwide were bankrupt at that time, and no country had money for research and development. Therefore, no one paid attention to Tesla's words at that time. But later, the American government contacted Tesla asking him to reveal that technology which he had mentioned to his friend. But Tesla refused to give them his project, saying they would misuse it. And from then until Tesla's death, FBI agents kept following Tesla. His room was also robbed, but Tesla said, "Whenever thieves come, they won't find anything, because every design is only in my mind." Tesla spent the last 10 years of his life in a room at the New Yorker Hotel, and after his death, the FBI immediately sealed his room. They took possession of all his papers and notebooks. And according to one report, those who saw his notebooks said, "It seems Tesla had come very close to knowing the secrets of energy." Now, such a high-profile scientist, who gave the world more than 300 inventions, And God knows how many more inventions he took with him when he left this world. Why would he say, "If you understand the power of 3, 6, and 9, then know that you have the key to understanding the secrets of this universe"? To understand this puzzle, I studied Tesla's personal life, because even the FBI of that time could not decode Tesla's research work. So I studied Tesla's personal life very carefully, hoping I might get some lead. And I was right. I realized that Tesla did everything in sets of 3. He would circle around his hotel 3 times before entering a room. Whenever he went swimming, he always did 33 laps, which is a multiple of 3. And if he forgot the count in between, he would start swimming again, saying, "I cannot leave it like this." With his food, he always kept 18 napkins, which is a multiple of 3, 6, and 9. Even his room number at the New Yorker hotel was 3327, which when divided by 9 gives 3, 6, and 9. Exactly those numbers in which, according to Tesla, the key to understanding the secrets of this universe is hidden. And he also used to say, the day science starts understanding the non-physical world, it will make such progress in just 10 years that it has not made from its birth until today. What is so special about these numbers? And now, what I am going to tell you, you need to listen very carefully. In Surah Al-Qamar, Allah has said, "We have created everything according to a measure," and the Arabic word used here for measure is Qadar. Then Allah has said the same thing again in Al-Hijr. "We have sent down everything according to a determined measure." And once again the same word is used, Qadar. What is this Qadar? In Surah Saba, Allah commanded Prophet David, "O David, make armor," meaning full-body armors, and see that there is Qadar between their joints. Qadar means right proportions, mathematical accuracy, perfect numbers. Allah has created everything with perfect Qadar, perfect numerical value, perfect numbers. And now I am going to show you these perfect numbers before your eyes. Throughout this entire universe, you will see mathematical patterns everywhere, and one of these patterns is called the binary system, meaning that system where a pattern starts and then keeps doubling itself. You will see this pattern in mitosis and meiosis too, where the division of cells in our body takes place, where just one cell splits to become 2 cells, then those 2 cells split to become 4 cells, then 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32, and this way a complete living being comes into existence. This pattern appears so much in this universe that some scientists even call the binary system the blueprint of God. Then there is another number on which scientists from Pythagoras to Leonardo da Vinci and Johannes Kepler have worked thousands of hours, hoping they could understand the secret of this number. And this number is called the golden ratio, 1.618, that number which appears everywhere from the human body to this universe. For example, in honeybee hives, female bees are 1.618 times more than male bees. Look at this. This is the nautilus, a cephalopod, meaning sea snail, whose shells each ring is 1.618 times bigger than the previous ring. Sunflower seeds, which are in cross-spiral shape, and each row's ratio compared to the next row is 1.618. Spiraled pine cone rings grow in the ratio of 1.618. Even in the human body, you will see the golden ratio everywhere. 1.618. The ratio of your height to your lower torso is 1.618. Arm to hand and elbow to hand ratio is 1.618. Hip to floor and then knee to floor ratio is 1.618. Foot, toes, spinal divisions, and finger joints, everything grows in the ratio of 1.618. Even cosmetic surgeons, when they reconstruct different parts of the body to make them beautiful, they use this same golden ratio, 1.618, because this ratio, this proportion, is called the most beautiful proportion of the universe. In the 17th century, Charles Bonnet saw that leaves of some trees also grow with the golden ratio. Adolf Zeising saw that animal structures, their veins, even crystals have the 1.618 ratio. In starfish arms, in snowflakes, in the splash rising from a water drop, in tree branches, in Romanesco broccoli spirals, in angelica flower beds where one big circle is formed by combining many small circles. And in all of these, there is a ratio, a proportion. In marigold seeds, in yellow chamomile flower seeds, in bighorn sheep horns, in cabbage cross-sections, in sepia shapes, in this galaxy, in water drops coming out of a wet ball. Golden ratio appears everywhere in this universe. Then the Fibonacci sequence, meaning a sequence of numbers where each coming number is the sum of the two previous numbers. That is 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, and so on. In the 12th century, Italian mathematician Leonardo Fibonacci saw that in the natural environment, meaning in forests, the number of rabbits always increased with a special numerical rhythm. First, there was 1, then 1, and 1 made 2. Then 2 became 3, then 3 became 5. And after many years of observation, Fibonacci presented this numerical rhythm, which we call the Fibonacci sequence today. And guess what the ratio between every two numbers of the Fibonacci sequence is? Golden ratio, 1.618. Want to be amazed beyond the golden ratio? Then look at this. Mathematical sequences called Vortex and Meanders, which appear in storms formed by clouds. The way a snake's body curves when crawling, this mathematical sequence appears in its curving. This sequence appears in river meandering. Water waves formed by winds have these mathematical sequences hidden in them. The winds that form dunes and deserts have these mathematical sequences hidden in those dunes. These ripples formed in the Sistan region of Afghanistan are not random, but formed with mathematical sequences. Then tessellation sequences, meaning mathematical patterns, appear everywhere from sheep honeycombs to beehives. In fact, this is the same tessellation that you will see in Islamic art, where it basically serves two purposes. The first purpose is to show that reality is hidden in many layers of perfection, and the second purpose is that tessellation patterns are infinite, meaning you can repeat these patterns as many times as you want by placing them together. They have no limit. Therefore, through these patterns, a message is given about God's infinite power. Mathematical patterns will also appear in cracks in the ground. For example, ground cracks. When cracks appear in soft ground, they always appear at 120-degree angles, like these cracks in Sicily's mud, or these cracks in Ireland's Giant's Causeway, which have created these beautiful and strange six-sided hexagonal pillars. And when cracks appear in hard ground, the number formation visible in them is completely different, but perfect. For example, there is an area on the Pakistan and India border called Rann of Kutch, where these cracks are appearing at perfect 90-degree angles, or these 90-degree rock formations in Australia's Tasman Peninsula. You will see mathematical sequences in everything in this universe, even in animal skin. For example, these patterns on Doris's beauty butterfly's body also have numbers hidden in them. In the stripes on zebra's body, or in the stripes on royal angelfish's body, or these mathematical sequences on giant pufferfish's body, or these patterns on helmeted guinea fowl's body, which have perfect ratios hidden in them. Niger's tiger bush, where these trees and plants grow, do you know they are growing with special mathematical sequences? These mathematical circles formed in Canada, Namibia's fairy circles, where amazingly each circle follows a mathematical sequence. Everything in this universe you will see in mathematical sequences. Like the golden ratio, there is another number, 137. That number which, like the golden ratio, appears everywhere in physics. For example, the strength with which electromagnetic force affects small particles always comes out to be 137, and that is why it's also called the fine structure constant. Because for the past 55 years, different scientists have experimented on different things, but this value always comes out to be 137. In fact, Wolfgang Pauli, a German physicist who also received the Nobel Prize in 1945, had even said, after dying, "My first question to God will be, what was the secret in 137? German mathematician Carl Friedrich Gauss, after whom many algorithms exist today, had said, "You will see numbers in everything God has created." Now, do you understand what Qadar means? Now, do you understand what this verse of Al-Qamar means? That we have created everything with perfect proportion. Everything in this universe carries mathematical secrets, numerical secrets within it, and the study of this secret of the universe is called the knowledge of numbers. People from ancient times had recognized this knowledge. From ancient times, humans had noticed the knowledge of numbers, and that's why they started considering this knowledge as sacred knowledge. And now I am going to take you with me to an ancient world. Thousands of years ago, humans had learned that there are numerical secrets in this universe, and the large scale at which this knowledge exists cannot be just a coincidence. Rather, it can only mean one thing: that there must be some God somewhere who created such perfect mathematics. Thus, from this union of science and religion, a new branch of study came into existence, which is called Arithmancy or Numerology, the knowledge of numbers. Its history goes back thousands of years. Just now, I told you through modern science how the knowledge of numbers is everywhere in this universe. Then earlier, I told you about Tesla's era, how he declared knowing the secrets of 3, 6, and 9 as the key to the universe. But let's go even further back than Tesla's era. 1,000 years ago, when Vikings were ruling in Europe. Vikings, meaning seafaring raiders of hardy Germanic race from Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. An Arab traveler, Ahmad ibn Fadlan, had also traveled with them. And he writes about these Vikings in his book, saying, "These people are tall and broad like date palm trees. They have golden hair and tough skin. Everyone has tattoos from their nose to their neck. And every man definitely has an axe, knife, or sword. These people are a physically perfect nation, and no one can match them in fighting." To understand these Vikings better, Uppsala University in Sweden started a program in 1986, the Rune Data Project. And I'm telling you all these details for a very special reason. These will be very useful for us ahead, so keep listening carefully. During the Rune Data Project, they collected ancient symbols from all over Scandinavia, meaning Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Finland, which ancient Germanic people, like Vikings, had made on stones in forests, a kind of Germanic alphabet, which are called runes, ancient runes. Now there is a catalog of this same Rune Data Project called DR 357. This is a stone on which a magical mantra is written in the ancient runes language, which contains some kind of ritual method related to the sacrifice of 9 goats and 9 horses, and that the sacrifice of each of these goats and horses will go to the 9 worlds emerging from their sacred tree Yggdrasil. What did you learn from this information? That the number 9 was sacred for Vikings and these ancient Germanic people. Their god, Odin, whose name you must have heard, the same Odin who rules Asgard, hung himself upside down from the branches of Yggdrasil for 9 days. And according to Norse mythology, 9 worlds are inhabited around this tree Yggdrasil itself. Did you notice something? How real-life knowledge of numbers, which can be seen everywhere in this universe, silently became sacred and became part of people's lives, and we didn't even realize it. Leaving Vikings, come with me to even earlier times. In Iraq, 2,500 years ago, an Iraqi inscription from 2,800 years ago, meaning carving on stone, states that an Ashur king, an Assyrian king Sargon II, had built a 16,283 arm-length wall around a city called Khorsabad, meaning about 7 kilometers by today's measure. And why? Because 16,283 was the numerical value hidden in Sargon's name. The knowledge of numbers has existed for 3,000 years. Look at Buddhist mandalas. Study them. They are made on circles and squares. Each section represents specific numbers and their power. Or China's Forbidden City, where common people could not even think of going at one time, and where China's emperor used to live. The entire building of that Forbidden City is built on sacred numbers. Do you remember I told you about the golden ratio? And now the symbol I am going to show you is perhaps the most famous symbol of this century. This 5-pointed star, and the ratio of each segment of this star with its other segments, is 1.618. And can you tell me where you have seen this star? For the past 3,000 years, this star, the Star of David, has been part of Jewish religion and their identity, a symbol of thousands of years-old knowledge of numbers of Jews. The knowledge of numbers is one of the oldest and most complex sciences in the world. This is the knowledge that appears to govern Allah's entire universe. And that's why it settled in some people's minds that if they could control the knowledge of numbers, they could also control the system of this world. And thus began the occult version of the knowledge of numbers. The search for power. That power with which you can control things. The occult form of the knowledge of numbers. That form which is taught in books like Shams al-Ma'arif. That form which Hasidi Ashkenaz wanted to use. But the knowledge of numbers is like a double-edged sword. This is one of the most complex sciences in the world. And that's why, if you are following it, you won't even realize that you will move from understanding the secrets of the universe to seeking the power to control it. Just like I told you in the previous episode about when you will enter the realms of magic from science and you won't even realize it. Like that tradition in Mustadrak al-Hakim where the Prophet said, "Recognizing shirk is like recognizing an ant crawling on the Safa mountain on a dark night." Do you remember I told you to keep this tradition in your mind until the end of this series? And can you now see what the practical implication of this tradition is? How you go from recognizing Allah through the knowledge of numbers to pursuing the hunger for power. And that's why I understand that the knowledge of numbers is one of those sciences that are counted in occult knowledge, meaning those sciences whose boundaries are very blurred, very ambiguous. You don't even realize when you move from spirituality to Satanism. You do not even realize when you become a victim of the hunger for power from studying the knowledge of numbers. Through numbers, many innocent but accurate predictions have also been made. And I definitely want to tell you about a very interesting prediction. There is a building in England right now called Westminster Abbey, and you might have heard its name, because this building is one of England's most important and oldest buildings. 40 kings and queens of England have been crowned in Westminster. 18 kings and queens of England are buried in Westminster. And at least 16 marriages of the royal family have taken place in Westminster. In Westminster, there's a small plaque at one place with a name written on it, Edmund Halley, and this plaque is shaped like a comet. And the story of this plaque is very interesting. Edmund Halley was an English astronomer and mathematician who lived in the 17th century. Now, the 16th century was a time when England's church had immense power. And from here begins the story of an interesting incident. What happened was that in 1665, the worst plague epidemic spread in London, meaning bubonic plague, in which more than 1 lakh people died, meaning 20% of London's population. The next year, meaning in 1666, a comet appeared in London's sky, and the church took advantage of this opportunity. They declared this comet as a sign of God's anger and started spreading fear and terror among people. They took advantage of them, took offerings from them, got their purposes fulfilled, but Edmund Halley decided to know the secret hidden in this star, and he started looking for ancient documents. He looked at every document where mention of a comet was found, and concluded that this comet had appeared before 1666, in 1607, and before that in 1531, and before that in 1456. Recognizing the mathematical sequence, Edmund Halley also made a prediction. You corrupt priests who rob people, watch that this star will also appear in 1758, and that's what happened. Halley died in 1742. But this comet that appears every 75 years also appeared in 1758, exactly as Edmund Halley had predicted by recognizing the mathematical sequence. And with this prediction, Halley defeated the priests in their own game, the game of making predictions. And today we know this comet by Edmund Halley's name, the Halley's Comet, a very beautiful star that appears every 75 years, which last appeared in 1986. And my mother told me that she had also seen this star before my birth, but now this star will appear again in 2061, and I might not be there at that time. But not every prediction made through numbers was as innocent as Edmund Halley's prediction. Using the knowledge of numbers, complete philosophies have been created in occult sciences. One philosophy, whose name you must have heard, Kabbalah. Do you remember I told you about Vikings and ancient runes a little while ago? And I told you there was a very special reason I was telling you all this in such detail. Because what I am going to tell you from this point onwards will amaze you. But today's episode was full of information. And before I tell you about the mysterious aspects of the knowledge of numbers, I want you to absorb this information well, because from here onwards you are going to hear something very shocking. But all that, God willing, in the next episode of the Mystery Series. Allah Hafiz.